So, as I told, even after 40 years, we still feel that we are young at 40 because every year, passing year, you see a new opportunity in front of us.
India has gone through massive shifts. And to lead an organization which has done 40 years, I think it's quite challenging. So, welcome to the show, Ravi.
Numeric has a very, very strong legacy. More than 75% of the airports will have a numeric UPS. They want a resolution time of 1 hour. So we used, there is a tool called within our service organization, virtual remote assistance. By virtually connecting, you'll know what's the error code and we give them the steps that they have to follow. So I'm able to resolve my customer complaints, I would say 3 to 4x faster than what we used to do.
Data centers are going to contribute a lot.
So this is expected to touch about 8 gigawatts by 2032. We have launched 2 products exclusively to address this particular piece of market.
Hey everyone, so we are today sitting with Ravindran, the CBO of Numeric, and the organization which has completed 40 years. And we are going to have a great session with him, talking about his experience with the organization, what the organization done has in the past 40 years. And we are also going to dive a little bit about what the industry looks like. So welcome to the show, Ravi.
Thank you, Siddharth.
We'll going to have a very casual session, right? It's going to be like we're sitting in a cafe and talking.
Of course.
Right? This has been 40 years and I think it's a long time. In this time, governments has changed, right? India has gone through massive shifts. And to lead an organization which has done 40 years, I think it's quite challenging. And you also have personally been in the industry for 40 years now, so it's almost like 40 years. So it's been a long journey as well. So want to understand how your personal experience has been leading an organization which has had such a history.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience leading an organization, 40-year-old organization, but still young. That's important because, even after 40 years, you still feel that you have a lot to do. And there is many opportunities in front of us. I think Numeric has a very, very strong legacy. When this organization was started way back in 1985, 83, 84, our purpose at that point of time was that India was going through, the first phase of computerization. All the banks started moving from, ledgers to computers. So those days, when the public sector banks started computerization, there was a need for power backup. And those days, the challenge was that the power availability versus power demand, the gap was as high as more than 10%. So power interruptions used to be very high. So there was a need, and that was really capitalized by the founder, Mr. R. Chelappan, great founder of Numeric, and then he ensured that he gained the market share in that particular space, BFSI, banking financial service industry, which was predominantly the first industry to go for computerization with the support of government. And I think to ensure that all the corners of the country are covered with that, so he established a very strong infrastructure, service infrastructure to support this initiative of the government when it was started those days. But over years, if you see from the year first when they started in 85, and the 90s year of liberalization, we call in India, where many licensed rajas went out of in starting 90s and lot of globalization started from then. So it opened up a lot of opportunities. So first was to cater to this banking industry, and then the opportunity came with a lot of manufacturing coming to India, and then in the post 2000 eras, infrastructure started booming up. So like what Numeric did in BFSI in infrastructure also. Today I can say that about 140 airports are operational in India. More than 75% of the airports will have a numeric UPS.
Wow.
So it's not one application. There are 10 different applications within airport, starting from runway lighting, air traffic control. These two pieces.
So can you give me one like critical example for the audience? Because although I understand it while working with Numeric, a little bit of what's happening, but I think it would be also very interesting for audience to know what might be like an active application where the power reliability is of like utmost importance.
I think that I can take this airport itself. So air traffic control, where the pilot keeps communicating with the air traffic control to find when he can get the landing rights and take off, and the runway lighting. These two are very, very critical. So both, I would say that in 50 plus airport, both these are managed by Numeric, powered by Numeric.
Wow.
Apart from that, there are plenty of other applications within airport. Today, every day the new application adds, but that is the credential that we have developed. And certain regions, particularly in East, all the airports, South, all the airports, is completely powered by Numeric UPS. So
that's fantastic.
That's the credential that we've developed over years. And then with the infrastructure boom, smart cities and metro railways. So this keeps going on as a list of industries that keeps going on. So as I told, even after 40 years, we still feel that we are young at 40 because every year, passing year, you see a new opportunity in front of us. So you will have to start thinking as if you are a startup organization which started 2 years back. Come up with ideas which can keep growing you at a strong growth percentage over the years. So that's how we have been, I think. And as you told, I have spent almost now 30 years in UPS industry. So started my career as a customer support field engineer. From there, and then I moved on to sales, and then I traveled through the journey. So I can say that what a customer expects from an organization, from a brand when it comes to UPS, because we all have to understand UPS is uninterrupted power supply system. So they're coming to this product because they don't want any interruption. So their expectation levels are quite high. So how you are associated, how you are committing to that, and how are you able to deliver that promise to those customers is critical. So I think being an engineer, I can really visualize what is my customer expectation, and we are able to fine tune all our available resources to ensure that the customer is happy being associated with us, and they know that I trust this brand, and that speaks for the brand itself, because in 40 years, a brand which is standing tall and growing continuously, which means that this brand or the people who have worked in this brand have done something great, so that customers stick to that brand over years, decades. There is one private bank who's actually top private bank of India. They started working with us from 87 almost, if I'm right. Till today they work with us.
Wow.
And we have close to about 98% of their UPSs supplied and managed by Numeric.
Fantastic. That's amazing.
And see, they have grown, we have also grown. So both grown together. So we were able to meet their expectations. Cutting across the country, whether it is Kanyakumari or Leh Ladakh or here in Northeast, in either Assam or Impal, wherever it be, we were able to meet their expectation in terms of product deliveries and service deliveries. And the association is going on for last 3.5 decades with one single customer, and that too they are number one, number two in terms of industry side.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because in the industry, everyone talks about retention marketing. This right here is the biggest retention story I think I've heard.
Probably the biggest example for us. And this gives us, even when I refer this customer to anybody else, the confidence that they get is great. And when we go to any customer, when any of my sales team goes to any customer, for them one thing is given, granted, product supplied by Numeric, reliable. It's number one. Even if there is any issues, they are always there to support. So these two pieces are always, there is no argument, there is no discussion on these points. So I think that's the credential that we have created over 4 decades.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking of it, and the moment you tell a customer that there is this biggest private bank in India working with us for 37 years, I mean, that's no marketing can achieve what the story can delivers on its own.
Yeah.
But that's great. But I want to double click on one particular point. So you mentioned that your formative years of the career was on ground. Now I'm relating this with a story I read a week back from News Story 18, I think. So Storyboard 18. What it said is 60% CEOs and CXOs attribute their success and career growth to their formative years where they worked in sales and marketing and specifically on the ground, right? So do you think like that part of your career kind of helped you and even managing the day-to-day operation challenges here? And if you can share some, of course, anecdotes from that time.
For sure, guaranteed, because those days we didn't have internets. So we only have to do cold calls. When I have to create a prospect, we have to do cold calls, and we know how tough it is to get an appointment with those customers. Today, with all the tools available, you have a lot of ways to get to connect with the customers. But those days, your only option. From those days to these days, one thing remains common for a salesperson is that if a salesperson owns the customer is always remains with him. And for a brand, what is important is what you commit, you deliver. These two are important. And most important is that whatever happens, whatever AA comes, whatever can happen, even today I can guarantee that 80% or more than 80% of the businesses happens because of relationship. Why? People still think that there should be somebody who can vouch for whatever decision the customer has taken in case when there is a need. So I think one thing will not change even in future, the days can go, is that how good are you selling yourself, selling your brand and selling your product. That makes a big difference. So at this position, I'll know when I launch a product, when we go to a new segment, what could be the customer expectations, how the sales team should be prepared, what could be the potential options of marketing that we should be looking at to grow our businesses much faster. So, of course, the fundamental remains same. So, those learnings are very, very important for us, helping us to take decisions. What can happen if you don't meet the customer commitments, and what will happen if you meet a customer commitment, and what customer is willing to pay what price for a product, whether customer is paying for the product or for the services or for anything else. So you will be able to figure out this because of this experience. And that again, every segment has a unique proportion. There are segments who looks at, I cannot afford, I want a price competitive products. There are segments who says that for me price is secondary, for me product reliability is primary. There are segments which will say that for me service becomes first priority. So you can understand with your experience that which customer expects what kind of equation. So when your strategy, your growth, when you know which market is growing, which segment is growing, these inputs helps you to figure out that how you should be looking the future and where should you be working.
Yeah. So I want to again extend one particular point you mentioned, that there is customer behavior and the expectations is kind of constant, yes. And the way you would communicate with customers, let's say 30-40 years back, has changed. And I'm sure even in the last 10 years it has changed a lot, right? So in 30-40 years it's a big change. But at the same time, I think customers' expectations and what they expect out of product, service, you must have seen it changing in the last 30-40 years.
Yes.
What are you seeing happening on the ground on that front?
Of course, customer expectation changes with the change in the, as you and me, Siddharth and Ravi, what we expect, same expectation is there from customers.
Okay.
If they were okay with the response time of 6 hours 10 years before, today they are not. They want a response time of 2 hours. They want a resolution time of 1 hour.
Wow.
So that's why we understood this. So we used, there is a tool called within our service organization, virtual remote assistants. So this is a tool where we try.
It's an internal tool developed.
Internal tool developed by us, where we connect with the customers to see how fast we can give the service. There are two pieces to that. One piece is that there are many times there are error codes which comes in the UPS. By virtually connecting, you'll know what is the error code, and we give them the steps that they have to follow, which can help them to resolve the issue of the UPS and start the UPS, which otherwise would have taken 4 to 6 hours for my engineer to go check and restart. The other one is that with this error code, we will also be able to make out if there is a component failure, which component has failed. So the engineer who is going to that site will go with the right set of components. So both the pieces helps the customer. So I'm able to resolve my customer complaints, I would say 3 to 4x faster than what we used to do 10 years before.
So like this was developed in the last 10 years itself?
This was developed 3-4 years after all these new digitalization has come into force.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, I am also feeling this, like customers' demands actually changes and has changed, especially after the times of COVID. The expectations are fast, right?
Yes.
But I want to again dive into one particular point is that you have built everything based in India. And it's a fascinating point because while government and everyone is trying to sell this and make the story and push the story of Make in India, Numeric right in front of us is one of the biggest, if not the biggest story of Make in India, and it's an engineering product. That's again the second most important point, right? So I want to understand and of course share some tips as to people who are listening this, people who want to build in India, right? What is the biggest learning? What are the challenges you faced while building India? And what are the areas that we can leverage, which I think as Indians only we can understand? And I want to dive into the competition part, but later point. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I think Government of India post-COVID, I think they were very aggressive to push Indian manufacturers to look at increase the local content. So I would specifically want to say this word of increase the local content because if in 2019 we were having a local content of 10%, in 2025 we have increased this 10% to 30-40% in certain products. So this was possible with collaborating with all our stakeholders. So I just want to here also tell that in 2012 Numeric got acquired by a group called Legrand, which is a French organization, headquartered in French and present in 180 countries. So post that, we work with all the global teams. So we share the knowledge of all the countries, and we work with as one team to develop products which are competitive and technologically forward-looking. So we have a team of R&D engineers in India. We have a big R&D setup in India.
In Chennai itself.
So this team collaborates with the SBU, we call it as SBU, particularly for UPS. They work with the teams who are sitting across 7 countries globally. They work with the team and they collaborate and come up with the platform which is not made for India only. It is made for India plus made for global.
Yeah.
So in the process, in the last 3 years, we have worked with the group entities and launched 3 products. All these products were completely, from the scratch of specifying the product to designing the product and final manufacturing the product. Everything was done by Indian team and India, and then these products are now getting exported from India to all my subsidiaries globally. About 16 to 18 countries globally are those people who benefit from this activity. So India is a country where volumes are very high. So this volumes helps many countries globally, because India's volume help us to justify many things, and this is getting leveraged. So we, being a net importer of many of our UPSs from our subsidiaries, Legrand Group companies globally till 2019. Today we have reversed the trend that we are manufacturing many products in India and exporting to all our subsidiaries globally. So this trend, which was previously 30% local and 70% imports, now have switched. So 70% is now local. Only 30% comes from my group entities across the country.
That's fantastic.
So that's the benefit, and with the ecosystem that is getting developed in India for all the electronic manufacturing, this is only further going to improve or going to get better in the coming days.
Right.
And I would like that, I'm sure that Government of India is taking the right steps to ensure that the electronic ecosystem within India is developing fast.
Right. So you mentioned 2 parts here: the Indian market and of course the outside of India market. It was quite recent in the past when Numeric started going into, let's say, outside India, or was it from the very beginning?
So when it was Numeric was selling till 2002. Numeric was selling the products outside India.
Okay.
But when it became part of Group Legrand, so there are subsidiaries across 180 countries.
Correct.
So we will sell our products to the subsidiary, and the end customer is catered by the subsidiary, who is those who are there in those countries, so that they take care of the complete life cycle of the product that we supply.
So basically what I'm understanding is, if you have access to a global network, it kind of helps you kind of get the market that way, right?
Yes, of course. You're right.
Got it. So one thing that I think everyone agrees, you also gave me, I think, very interesting inputs the last time we were sitting and discussing, that Indian market is going to be like the biggest across globally, and you mentioned very clearly that even I as a businessman kind of should focus there. So what do you think the future looks like in 5 years term, 10 years term? What are the biggest markets that you are looking at which will need UPS as a service and product?
So first of all, just to address how the overall Indian market will be. Indian market, as we all know, that we are growing at anywhere between 6.4 to 6.8%.
Yes.
I think with all the initiatives that government is taking, we should be within the range of 6 to 7% growth over next 5 years. So we are already at $4 trillion. We should be $5 trillion sooner or later. With that happening, with all the local manufacturing starting to happen, more and more local manufacturing is happening, there is lot amount of automation happening. So the purpose of UPS is day by day increasing, because one side there can be an argument that India is also becoming power surplus. So which means that the demand and the power generation is going to be slightly higher than the power demand.
Oh, I was not aware of this.
Yeah, this is also happening parallelly. Nevertheless, with all the automation, we have one challenge today. What's happening is that net we are demand is lower than the generation. But the challenge is for us in India is the power distribution. So the power is produced in many pockets, but that power is not being able to transport it to the places where it is needed. So the still at last level at your house or my house, we will still see blackouts. So these blackouts will ask for UPS need, and the generation 20 years before had the patience that if they can have a blackout for 2 hours, whether it is home or office or any other place, they used to live with that. But today nobody has the patience. They want power backup everywhere, whether it is residential, whether it is office, whether it is a lift, whether it is a mall, anywhere. So applications are changing. Just for a simple example, those days it is 7 floors and maximum 20 floors building. Today you might have seen 60 floors building. The lift travels at a very high speed. If there is a power interruption, there are a lot of impacts on the lift and a lot of challenges in operating those lifts. Nobody used to think of using a UPS for lift, but today that has become a huge market with high rises and high speed traveling lifts. That's become a market. Nobody thought that this will become a very big market, but that's also become a big market. Like that, toll booths, national highways.
Oh yes.
It's a huge how all these are automated, and there has to be a backup. So there are new opportunities. We are at 140 airports, and as per plan, we are going to go to almost 300 airports. Metro, today we have 400 kilometers operational across all cities, but there is another 950 kilometers of under construction metro. And each metro, there is a lot amount of automation in metros, and there is a lot of scope of UPS in those metros, airports, all those things. So the opportunity is going to be. Likewise in manufacturing, what's happening in manufacturing is that while you can ask me why power surplus, why that, they are buying because they are automating everything. And they reduce human, they automate everything, use robots. So they don't want to have power interruption, and you cannot afford, because if there is a power interruption, the restarting time of an automated operating plant is much higher. And there are certain processes. You might have heard that in India there are 8 manufacturing facilities for fab. Semiconductors are getting ready, and semiconductor process is very long process. From wafer to all this process is very long. So there cannot be any power interruption while this process is going on. So these kind of new age industries is throwing a big opportunity in front of all the. I would say that entire electrical industry, not only UPS and other electrical industry, the opportunity is huge. And next 5 years, I would only see that whatever today the size of the industry, it will be 2x by end of next 5 years. That's the potential of this industry.
So basically new industries, yes, they are going to assisting. I was also thinking maybe data centers are going to contribute a lot.
Yes, of course, data center is also going to. Today India has roughly about 1.5 gigawatts of data center, either operational or under construction. This, as per industry experts, this is expected to touch about 8 gigawatts by 2032. So that's a huge. It's almost 6x. So if you recall what I said, India is likely to be power surplus. For data center, power is the main. Many countries, even Singapore has told no more data center because they could not support the power demand that these data centers are asking.
Is it also because of space or just the...
No, space is not. It's the power is the biggest challenge. And India luckily is having enough abundant power, which, and with all the government initiatives that is happening for power generation, India will be able to, India probably be the only country who will be prepared to take on this advantage of data centers. Because even now, the data, there is a government guideline which says that Indian data has to be stored in India. While said that, today only the banking data is in India, all your other data are stored outside. You are using so many apps for your movies, for your music, all the data is still lying abroad. So that's why the potential of migrating all those data to India is high. That's why it is going to touch about 8 gigawatts by 2032.
It's going to happen.
It will happen. Yeah. It is going to happen. And all indications are towards that this is going to happen. And we, with our new products that we are aligned and we are ready to go with those products. We have launched 2 products exclusively to address this particular piece of market. One was Cure Mode Plus, which is from 300 kVA to, it can go up to 1.8 megawatts. This particular product we have launched for a set of data centers. It's colos and
specifically designed for specific markets.
Yes, colos and enterprise data centers, on-prem data centers. And we have one more product which is starting at 1.2 megawatts going up to 4.8 megawatts. This is exclusively for hyperscalers.
Right.
And we see all these segments, whether enterprise data centers or colos or hypers, everybody is going to grow 5 to 6x in the next 5 years. And we are really ready to take that market in the coming days.
Right. I also see hospital as a big market, and also because of government policies. I was just reading while working at Numeric, there is NABH policy coming in 2025, which is kind of making it mandatory and to comply with certain governance rules that hospitals have to have uninterrupted power supply. So I think that is also a market probably we might be looking at, because this industry itself is also, I think, going to grow very rapidly.
The recent government policy of removing GST on health insurance, which is also going to have a cascaded effect. So once what happens, people will go for health insurance, and so you will be able to access all the private healthcare others. Which means that there is going to be a huge investment. Just one step back, the government also has an initiative where they want to set up one medical college and a hospital in each district of the country. Each district will have one medical college and at least one. So that initiative was funded by central government. That initiative is happening. And as you rightly said, National Building Council, which generally is the nodal agency who gives guidelines for how the buildings should be. They have a code which is coming out where they say that any building should have at least 45 minutes of emergency power, which is, this emergency power is 5% of all the lighting load should be on this emergency power, which is backed up for minimum of 45 minutes, so that in case of any emergency, people can be evacuated easily. So this is one guideline which was there. They're just fine-tuning it so that everybody sticks to that. Nevertheless, today customer demand, so even if that code is not there, also customers have started implementing that in their plans already.
Right. Yeah. But do you see this market also being disrupted, or any major disruption coming in the market by any competitor? Like, what are the opportunities where you feel which are, let's say, open spaces and nobody has explored yet, and probably at Numeric you might want to go in that direction?
So at this point, technology disruptions are not likely to come, at least for next 5 years. There are certain discussions happening on the technologies, which future technologies, but at least for next 5 years, I see that that there is not going to be any technology disruption which can come our way. So I think the new product that we have launched, which is Cure Mode Flex, which is 1.2 megawatts to 4.8 megawatts, is a kind of a product which is very unique in the industry, where we deliver the highest efficiency of 98.4%. Industry's highest efficiency, I would call it, which today is not available with any of my competition. Okay, so 100 is the best. So we are already at 98.4 percentage. I think with that product, I think next 5 years we have a very strong opportunity in front of us.
Do you feel how difficult the competition is going to be in this market? Do you feel it's going to increase, or is it going to be or go at the same pace the way market is growing?
Market competition is going to be, because see, when India is growing at 6 to 7%, for all the players in this market, if they have to grow, India is the market. So, and with the data center growth from 1.4 to 1.5 megawatts to 8 gigawatts, the opportunity is huge, and competition is going to be also heavy for us, and we are well prepared for it. Actually, I think we have an upper edge at this point of time to address all the markets that is available for us at this point of time. Yeah.
And one thing, while data centers are very notorious for or it have bad name for their energy consumption, right? I know for a fact the whole industry is kind of moving towards sustainability. So do you think at Numeric, and I would love to know what you are doing as an organization to kind of work towards that direction?
So sustainability is core of group like Ravindran, and it applies for Numeric also. So within sustainability, whenever a new product is launched, we take care of that. How do we reduce the footprint of the product? How do we reduce the weight of the product? How do we eliminate plastic? How do we use as many as components which can be recyclable? So we also have a unique certificate called PEP certified, which this certificate is a European body which certifies, whereby this certifying body goes through the complete component list of the UPS that we manufacture and gives a certificate that if there are 100 components in that, what percentage of the components can be recycled. So which is critical, you manufacture a product which can be recycled. So this is one piece of it. You try to reduce the e-waste by increasing the content which can be recycled, and of course the efficiency. Efficiency is very important. 98.4% means I just waste 1.6%. So that is for a data center which anywhere starts between 10 megawatts, it goes up to 200 megawatts. For them, every 0.1% is a huge saving. So we are committed as Group Legra. We have committed to be carbon neutral by 2050, and our products also should help in that initiative to my customers.
Right.
So in that initiative, this product what we launched now is completely in line with our sustainability goals.
But one interesting thing is when I talk to some of my, let's say, entrepreneur friends about this, and so sustainability is a goal which is definitely required, I think, as an organization, as a country, as a society, right? But do you think it also creates a business impact, right? Does it really add to the numbers in the way it should, or is it something that as a moral responsibility or all organizations have to do?
I would say it should be the moral responsibility, because any product, if you have to make it sustainable, your cost of the product will definitely be higher. If you want to use steel versus plastic, plastic is always cheaper, but steel is always better, recyclable, all these things. So, there your cost goes up, but it is the moral responsibility of all of us. Well, we recently did for 3 of our products, we completely removed all the plastic bags. We removed foams all foams, and we've gone with corrugated boxes, packing materials, everything can be recyclable. So that actually, this is small delta of cost, which is a moral responsibility of the organizations. And there are many corporates who value that. There are many corporates who value that, how, because they also see how I can buy a product which is more sustainable product, eco-friendly products. So I think customers started valuing this. I think this trend is going to only go better in the coming days.
I think this is also happening on a very granular consumer level, individual consumer level.
Of course, it's
I
happening.
talk to people all the time. They are very critical about what ingredients goes into it, where it has been sourced from, how sustainable it was, whether it is animal tested or not. So I think it definitely has larger social consequence.
Yes.
Right. But the business wise also, I feel it may add value in the longer run, because it adds, I think, certain amount of brand trust.
It's not, it will add value in
Yeah.
the long run, because so brands are not only products. They also see the value system that the organizations follow. So I'm sure, I'm 200% confident that these things, sustainable efforts that we put, will be valued by our customers.
Right, true. So, and now I want to dive into a little bit about the service angle of the whole organization, right? And I'm telling this because I have been in the service industry for like 10, 11 years, at least on the advertising marketing side, seen things change, right? Building a service organization is very challenging, right? Where people are involved and not just like products, right? So a large part of what Numeric does is not just product, right? It's also service, right? After delivery service, right? Customer complaints and all that, right? What are the most challenging part of doing this? And I want the listeners who's listening to do this kind of follow this, because it's the hardest part to, I think, build in any organization reliably.
Yes. So see, today in the industry, the biggest differentiator is how good are you in your services. Products gets replicated in no time, but when it comes to service, it's not that possible for
it's not
replicating.
replaceable.
So I think the biggest differentiator for Numeric is service, and with our 250 plus service centers, backed up with about 50 plus regional repair centers, and further backed up with about 18 warehouses, we have a complete ecosystem which is in place to support my customers. My 250 centers where I have my field engineers, they whatever they go and do the services, they pick up those faulty PCBs. It comes to those regional repair centers which are close to those branches. There we have a complete ecosystem to recondition those PCBs and then ready for reuse. So which are close to customers. The idea is that even in case of a fault, how fast you respond to the customer requirements. So we have developed this beautiful ecosystem, and this is very, very challenging. One, it's also cost, because 250 locations, engineers, 50 plus location regional repair centers, and 18, 19 locations of consumables warehouses, and then the national warehouse. So it's a huge investment and the huge infrastructure cost. But this gives us the great edge against all our competitors in the industry. And today, this is helping us in many initiatives. There are a couple of projects which I would like to mention here, is that I can proudly say that all the passports who we getting across the country, all the passport kendras are powered by Numeric UPS. All 100% of passport kendras are powered by our UPS. And I think 100% of visa processing centers across the country is powered by our UPS
Fantastic.
system. Okay. And when Government of India takes some important initiatives, I think they took a very important initiative way back in 2020, where after a couple of terror attacks, they wanted to build infrastructure to detect intrusions. So it was all terrains were tough terrains, J&K, Northeast. So they worked with us, and we can proudly say that today, I think 3,000 kilometers of Northeast border, where there is a security and surveillance completely backed up by Numeric UPS. So these projects, what we do is more than business. It's a purpose.
Yeah,
there is a
it's
purpose.
Amazing impact. I didn't even know this, right?
So there is a purpose behind it. So we are happy to do such projects. We help governments. We help nodal agencies. So like that we did in Jammu Kashmir also. I would say Jammu Kashmir, all the district hospitals, 56 district hospitals spread across Jammu Kashmir is powered by our UPS. These places, all my competition don't want to be there, but we are there. And this is also possible because of our service infrastructure. So our service infrastructure plays an important role.
Yeah,
very important role.
Now I understand. Without that, it's not even possible to.
So you take all these examples, like from passport kendras, from visa processing centers to borders.
Yeah,
all these are possible. So we become very part of the
India story.
Yeah. And to add up to, I just want to say that we have almost 87 to 88,000 schools, particularly from Bihar, Assam, West Bengal, Jharkhand, those eastern belt powered by UPSs, Numeric UPS. It's more than life for us actually. So we are part of these kind of initiatives. Within ourselves, we say that how can we improve the lives of people by certain initiatives. So the brand is beyond business here.
Yeah, true. I mean, that's fascinating. I didn't know a lot of these things that you did mention. I had one or two ideas about certain pointers, but the impact is huge. But I want to double click on one particular point. So let's say there must have been a point in the organization's time when there might have been just 20 service centers. Nowadays 250 plus. How do you scale that? Because to me and to my mind, that's daunting. Like, it's very hard to execute and do that. What was the story like, and what are the challenges, and how do you manage the, let's say, qualities across the 250 centers, right? Because there has to be a very diligent operations as well, right? So I'm sure the processes must be very solid there.
So one is that these centers went on growing as per the business grows. And initial days, people were trained in Chennai and deputed to those places.
So there is a training part.
All were trained from Chennai. For 1 to 2 months, they go for a rigorous training in the manufacturing facilities, and then they are deployed in all these locations. It grew along with the business. While coming to process, we have a very beautiful CRM, end-to-end CRM for our customer experience, and also for our management, I would say. So this piece is completely digitalized from the point you receive a call, the call allotment, spare availability, call closure, warranty, preventive maintenance, AMC contracts, battery replacements, consumable replacements. Everything is there in the CRM, and each branch will have a visibility of what all spares they have at a single click. Not even branch, I think even an engineer on his mobile, he has the access of this tool, and he can visualize what, if he is at a customer page, he can commit seeing what spare is available in the branch which is near to him. So that's how the digitalization which we have done. We were probably the first to give a report, engineer visit report, completely digital format.
Oh, fantastic. So there is a lot of tech also in the background.
Yes, a lot of tech we have done for our engineering. So I think this CRM in India, we have the extensive CRM that is used by almost, we have about 1250 field engineers. Each one of them have the access to the CRM on their tip. So completely digitalized end to end. Tomorrow, if my customer asks, if I have a customer who is having 1,000 plus assets, if he asks how is my performance, we have a tool within that. You can go and see of this 1,000 assets, how many there were breakdowns, within how many hours we have attended, and what's the life of all those UPS. Everything is available in the dashboard to a customer. So that's kind of integration that we have done.
So I want to also understand one more point from like your personal perspective, right? So let's say you are doing your day-to-day job. Like, what are the major challenges that you think are going to be the biggest hurdle for you in, let's say, next 5 years as a business, as market, because those dynamics also play in, right? And things are changing very rapidly in the market, right? There are tariff wars happening. There's a lot of activity happening on the ground level as well across the world. So how do you think, or what are your biggest challenges? How are you dealing with them as a let's say organization?
So one biggest challenge, not only for us, I think it remains same for all the businesses in India, is the geopolitical situation. This can be a biggest, because see, all the investments that is happening in India, not necessarily that these investments are driven from all domestic organizations. There are a lot of organizations which come from all across the world who have manufacturing facility outside of India. They want to relocate to India. They want their products to be manufactured in India. When I say data centers, these data centers are there in other countries. They want to come to India. So geopolitics is going to be the one of the key challenges, I would say, disruptors or challenges for us in short and long term. Apart from that, supply chain of management or supply of you might have seen in the news that particular components are completely out of reach. You might have seen rare earth
metals that comes from China
are completely out of reach for us. So these kind of challenges, if you don't have the complete ecosystem ready for your supply chain, these risks are there. This today we will not be able to visualize. We only have to wait and see how things come. But only one advantage for us is that since we are a global organization, we always have an option to overcome these. But then nevertheless, if specific country specific challenges come, we will have to be prepared to handle that.
Yeah, exactly, because the geopolitical situation, they are always not in your hand, not right? In our hand. It's something which is happening on its completely own, and outside. You have to wait and see what you can actually do. Second part that you also mentioned, let's say the sourcing of materials, sometimes that's also not in your hand. But right now, like the materials that you source, they are all from India or like from the other rest of the world?
We still have certain components which are not manufactured in India. So we still have to depend on other countries. So we have, particularly when it comes to semiconductors, we still have to depend many countries outside of India.
And that's one area you feel that's something where dependency is at least.
Dependency is there.
So I also want to deep dive upon some of the leadership skills which I also want to learn from you and probably pass it on to the customers. I wanted to understand because you were part of the organization as let's say head of sales for quite some time, and then you transitioned into chief business officer. What has changed during that, right? And I would like to know what are the difficulties that you face on a day-to-day basis? How do you solve it? Let's say the internal things in the organization.
So from sales head to CBO, the difference is that when you are sales head, you are looking at only sales, but when you are at CBO, you have to see how you can improve your P&L. So you cannot ignore other areas which is critical. So for us, I think the biggest challenges is that the talent. The talent in the sense what we expect in our minds and what we are able to get. So there is a big gap in that. There are a lot of areas which is growing fast. If you today how AI is growing.
Yep.
How can you implement in your day-to-day life? There is big opportunity for everybody. You, Siddharth, can have an AI assistant. I can have an AI assistant. To make yourself and ourselves more productive in the day, to help each one of us to take quick decisions. So in this, we intend to use all these new age tools to improve our businesses. So there we are not able to get talent at the speed at which we wanted. That's going
the speed of acquisition, you're saying. Yes,
that's going to be probably our expectations are high,
which is fine. I think it should be like that.
Could be. So that's where then the market industry, what it asks and the availability in market, there is always a gap. I think it will still be there always. You should demand more so that the candidate who comes in will have a learning opportunity and then they further grow on that.
Right.
So this is going to be one piece which will remain challenge, I think, in your future also.
Yeah. And what are the parts of, let's say, working as the head of sales that you feel helps you in day-to-day life? I understand, let's say you have, I think, very amazing understanding of product and the customer. Definitely it's there. But what else apart from that?
So one is market, which is the important piece, and the customer and the product. So first is market, how market reacts to any situation. You know, since you are there in the market, you have access to the market. Even now you have access to the customers, so you can always connect to customer at any given point of time, since you have been associated. Access to your partners when it comes to all the information sharing from customers about the market feedbacks. That's very useful and which helps us to understand the market, and which helps us to understand the customer, which helps us to guide other team members with this knowledge. You don't blindly give an instruction to any team member. You are now passing on any information or guiding any team with all these knowledges that you have gained over years.
Right. And how do you deal with the day-to-day changes? I know a little bit about your lifestyle, so I know it's like top-notch, something that I also try to replicate.
It's not top-notch, sure.
At least from what I know, right? So just want to know, how do you manage your day-to-day operations? What are your daily lifestyle like? Coming to the office, before that, how do you manage stress? And I'm sure it's very stressful situation leading a company like that.
There is no stress for me.
It's not. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I'm simple man with I have a practice of morning minimum 1 hour walk with some amount of yoga, so that my stress can be handled.
Yeah.
So I have a simple policy: don't react, respond to any situation. Many times if you think leave it to some time, respond, by the time the solution is found by somebody else. So you don't have to step in. That's one piece which I would say that if you want to follow, you can do that also.
Right.
It's always good that, because we always take wrong decisions when we react. Your response for a situation will be far better. So I used to say couple of my colleagues that if you get an email and you tend to react, you do one thing: type all that email, put it in the draft. Next day morning, come and read that mail. Then you will feel that, really, why should I do this?
Yeah.
So see, certain things you put it in writing email, you cannot take it back.
Yeah. No, I relate with it a lot, because I think I kind of also follow this. When your emotions are high, never respond, right, in any way, because you are not going to say right things in any situations. It's lucky that you are in Chennai, because the AQI is way better than we have in North India, so you can't do that. But having said that, I understand the day-to-day becomes extremely challenging leading an organization, and it's good to know that. And I'm sure the whole culture of Numeric and Ligram, from what I understand, is amazing. That kind of also assisting to that. So just want to ask from you any message that you want to give people who are building the India story, the young age entrepreneurs who are trying to build in technology as well. Any particular inputs for those people?
So first of all, when it comes to opportunity, today we are 4 trillion. We are going to go to 5 trillion in next max 3 to 4 years, which means 1 trillion is getting added. 1 trillion, please figure out that. We were in 2010, I think we were 1 trillion. Today we are 4 trillion. 2020, I'm not sure very about it, but I think we would have taken 60 years to reach 1 trillion. We are going to add 1 trillion in 5 years, which means that opportunities that is going to come in front of us is huge. It is how we look at from that angle, how to encash these opportunities. And today, funding is not a problem. Opportunity is not a problem. For anybody who has the right mindset, who have the appetite to grow, I think sky is the limit. There are plenty of industries coming. Every day there is a new industry, there is a new need coming. You have to keep your antennas up, find out what is that, and jump upon and carry forward. While doing all those things, do remember to use Numeric UPS in your growth story.
Right. And I hope it was also a fun conversation for you. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And anyone who's listening to this, I would like you to ask them to subscribe, share, and comment on this.
Yes.
Just look at the screen and just say
Do
it
that for Siddharth, please.
All right. So I think that's all for now. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth.